Hi, and welcome to the tutorial. We're going to create a face using reference images rather than 3D scanning that we did today in class. So it's going to turn on screencasting and then go down here and activate it so you can see what keys I'm pressing. I'm going to, I suppose I can keep the default cube. Pressing 1 and 5 on the numpad to go into front orthographic view. I'm going to turn on background images. I'm going to add an image, go open, and go to my desktop. I'm going to add in this image here called Stephen, and this is Stephen here. Now I'm not going to worry about the scale for now. This cube by default is 2 units by 2 units, and normally what we'll do is we'll set our unit value to be metric, which means it's 2 meters by 2 meters. So if we were to worry about scale, we'd end up with this would be a 6 foot tall head, but we can scale and rescale later, so it's actually beneficial to keep it big at this stage. So our reference image is set. It's not perfect, but it'll work hopefully for this tutorial. I'm in front orthographic mode. I need to split my view, and over here I'm going to press 3. So this is a right orthographic view. So what I want is I'm going to move this cube. I've just pressed G to move it. I'm going to go into edit mode. Whoops. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to go with all of these vertices selected. W, merge at center. So that reduces me to a single vertex. So you can see here I have 1 of 1. Go back to object mode. I'm going to place this on the tip of the nose. Now we're going to only model one half of the face, which will lead to sort of anomalies because nobody has a completely symmetrical face. Stephen has a fairly symmetrical face, but you can see here this eye slightly lower than this one. There's a few asymmetrical sort of definitely the hair is asymmetrical, so but we're not going to worry about that too much for now. But the most important part of setting this up to model the face is so over here we're in front view and over here we're in right view, but so this object should be on the tip of the nose, so I'm going to be modeling from the front here and from the side here. So I need to go GY and move that forward to the tip of the nose, and these are the 2 images that I'm going to use for this part of the modeling process. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to use the E key repeatedly to extrude. So I'm going to extrude along the nose, and you can see here I've created new geometry, and extrude, extrude. So that's straightforward enough because it's a straight line. I'm going to start with the eye, because that's, if you look at another person's face, you normally look at their eyes or around that part of the face. So this is the thing we need to get right. It's the most important part of the face. So I'm going to extrude 1, 2, and then 3 into the corner of the eye here. You can see over here they're not in the correct position. So now I need to go GY, and I'm going to have to guess where this is because I can't see around Stephen's eyeball. Oops. GY, this should be around there, and this is near the top of the nose, or the bridge of the nose. So I can, if I want, work on the nose now. So I can go 1, 2, 3, and again I need to position these correctly in 3D space. And the eye here, and this is one of the more important parts of this process. So I'm going to create a little sort of a quad here. Again, these are not quite in the right position, so these 2 should be slightly forward on Y, and these 2 should probably be slightly further back on Y. And then here I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the same number on top, 6, 7, 8, 9. hold the two of these, or select the two of these together, and then press F and create a face between them. Now again, you can see this is all done in a straight line. It is not correctly positioned. So let's just do it vert by vert. So that's correct, or ish. You can go GY. And you can see now, if the images are not aligned correctly, we've got a big problem. We won't be able to make this this work. So you can see here there's an issue. So when we zoom in this far in the images, I'm like about 1 millimeter out. I can get away with that though. I can just sort of use my discretion and kind of approximate where these things should be. So that looks right. And then this needs to move in. This needs to move in. It needs to be about there. Which means this needs probably to be in further. Okay, so let's just look at this in 3D space. So that is what I've modeled so far. Doesn't look like much. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a mirror modifier. Now it looks like the mirror modifier has done nothing. I've turned on clipping. That stops me overlapping in the middle. When I go into object mode, you'll see that there's a mirror modifier. So I've actually created both sides. As I said, it'll be symmetrical. So, and at a glance here, you can see that the outline we've made for this eye doesn't exactly fit the outline for this eye. So, you know, if I have chosen an exact median, which I haven't, but if I had, it would mean that one of these eyes was slightly further away from the center than the other. But in fact, I think the problem is the positioning of the of this median line. Okay, so let's continue. So I want to create an eyelid and then the eye socket, and this is the most difficult and most important part of the model. So if I extrude each vert one by one, we will be a very long time doing this. So we'll select a few together, extrude them out, extrude them back in, and try and extrude them out again, keeping in mind that they need to expand as they're coming out of the eye to cover a greater area. Okay. At this stage you may want to press Z and keep modeling in wireframe mode. So again, I can select 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 here, extrude them out and out and down, and again these need to be expanded over here. We want them to sort of follow the kind of the contours of the face. This will become more apparent and more important as we keep modeling. So this is kind of it's a fairly laborious process. So we are 8 minutes in. This should take about an hour. And the front of the face, so basically from the middle of the forehead down to the chin, is the most important part of the face. The most difficult thing to model, and I might do it separately, is the ear. And hopefully just at a glance you can see why. It's quite a complicated piece of topology to try and follow all of the curvature of this and get all of the ups and downs and holes and whatnot. Ears are difficult, so I might just do that myself. For the exercise, actually I mightn't even do the ear. For the exercise we're just doing basically the front of the face, and we're going to have sort of eyebrows moving and nostrils flaring and mouth, you know, moving up and down. So may not even model that far back, just for simplicity. But let's keep going so you can see the process. So the number of verts I have here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say I have 5 to here and 6 to the top of the eyebrow. So let's continue that extrusion there. So I'm going to go E and extrude out. So these need to be, you know, closer, you know, this way. So this is probably needs to come out a bit more dramatically. Okay. And we get to the brow here. we're trying to keep the kind of the contours correct as we move out. So again, this should be here. Oops. If you hit G twice, you'll get that effect of well, I'm going to explain it to you. If you hit G, you can move. If you hit GG, you can move up on an axis. It can be quite a helpful, useful tool. So yeah, so I need to move this up a little bit. I might need more geometry actually on this. That needs to kind of curve in. Okay. Now, let's see how we are in 3D. So it's not too far, it's not too bad, but there's a big, if we look over here, that's quite a recess into the eye socket in terms of distance from here to here, which is just, you know, the way Steven's face is. But it we might have to add in. So when I say add in more geometry, what I mean is if I bring this back here, I might need to put in an extra line of geometry here to make it just a little bit smoother. I pressed Alt or there, which is loop cut, very handy tool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and match. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here verts. So I'm going to try and match that here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and let's move these back a little bit. Oops, back a little bit that way. So they align a little better. Now, again, they have to look correct in both views. I might turn this to wireframe. Now, what I'm hoping to do now is go 1, 2, 3, 4 and press F. Now I will end up having to cut through this, but it's not a bad starting point. F. Now I'm going to go Control or loop cut, Control or loop cut, and now we can spread this out a little bit more so the geometry is not too close together and too unmanageable. Now, again, I can press F and make a face, and I can go to my toolbars here and hit Subdivide. Subdivide will add an extra vert in the middle, and then I can move that by hand here, so I can make a face with them. I need to subdivide this, and G, oops, so I'm just holding in Shift, and one more subdivision here, and then I have created sort of a central strip here. Now I can select these here and go W bridge edge loop. That's a very handy tool. It'll fill them in for me. And then I'm going to hit A and then go Control N, which is reverse normals, and just set smooth so I can see what I'm doing. So this is dark because the normals on these planes are these faces are facing a different direction to these ones, but we're not going to worry about that for now. We can flip them in a minute. So I just want to start joining things up. Before I do that, I'm going to add a subdivision surface modifier. It's going to make it all look a little bit more organic, and it'll look a little bit better, a little bit more rounded, more organic. Okay, so let's see what we can do here to fill this in. Okay, so I'm going to just move this a little bit down here, and I'm going to go extrude, extrude, extrude. So face, and I'll fix them on this side in a second. Okay, so this should be around here, and we'll pull this in a little bit. Okay, and we're getting there. So 1, 2, So these I think have to match. So we go face, and again I'm going to loop cut that so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 face, 1, 2, 3, 4 face. And we need to position these correctly, so I'm just going to do a little rotation and reposition them slightly. Now let's have a look at this eye. So these 4 here, I'm going to press F and make a face. Okay, and that's going to make my life quite a bit easier in terms of completing the rest of the geometry. And then so this here I can now delete. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I added in 1 too many. So happy days. I'm going to do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Create a face, and that should simplify things here. So these two need to join 1 here and 1 in the middle. So Control or loop cut 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a face. 1, 2, 3, 4. Face. Now again, this is a large area, so we might need to add a loop cut in here to be able to pull this geometry forward a little bit, so there isn't so much of a very dramatic shift. Okay. Now, okay, and we could join the yeah. Let's just work on this. So this is going to go E and extrude to there, and 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a face there, and I need to add a loop cut in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a face. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to extrude this way, and yeah, that's not a bad position. 2, 3, 4. It's a face. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a face. Now, when you're making faces, so we have them to the side of the eye, and we're about 17 minutes in now, 17 and a half minutes. One of the more important parts of creating a face is to understand sort of the shape of the geometry, or how it should flow. And it's quite difficult. It takes a lot of practice to get it right, and I'm no genius at it, but there should be sort of a flow of geometry from sort of the top of the eye down past the nose, down past this sort of crease that most people have in their face, and then sort of under the mouth. So there should be almost like an S shape. So there should be a flow of geometry along that line, and if there is, you probably get like a well-modeled face. So this looks like I can extrude it down here, but it's actually halfway through the nose, so I need to bring this back to here and go face, and move that to roughly there, and then it's this one here that I want to bring out. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then position it. So I'm not trying to get to the edge of the mouth, I'm trying to follow sort of the path of the geometry, or the shape of the face. And if I get this right, then this will look like our model, Stephen, who probably won't enjoy being called a model. But for now, he's the model. And if we get this shape wrong, then it won't look right. It'll look all odd and strange. It won't look like the person. So again, these are in the incorrect position in this view. So let's just position them, approximately in the right position. You can see this is all done by eye. This is not mathematical. I'm not measuring, the width of the nose, etc. I'm just trying to position things as I see them in front of me, trying to move verts into the correct position in 3D space. Okay, so That's not bad. So let's start counting our the geometry we have here, so that we're not going to have an explosion of geometry when we get to the mouth. Again, the mouth should sort of flow out. So if these two here are going into the side of the mouth, okay, then we could have maybe this is going to go up, so we'll go G. We're kind of looking up here, we've got 1, 2, 3, but we end up with a few more, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, my positioning is not perfect, so we've got a kind of an asymmetry here. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, they're not positioned correctly on this side. So again, we're seeing the poor sort of alignment of my images, and that's not going to be helpful, but that's okay, we'll do our best. Right, so that's roughly our mouth. We'll try and take this one here, and we're going to extrude and then F to join them together. This one here, again we're trying to have the same count so that we can make quads. So extrude, and we may have to reposition these over here, and that's going to go F, and then I can select that, turn that off, and go W, bridge edge loop, and then just fill in that bit, F. Now, again, I just need to pinch this in a little bit so to make room for this nostril. And we'll probably find that that needs to go back and that needs to go forward, but we'll worry about that in a little while. Okay, so let's get this to go across the top of the nostril. So we'll go G to there, and now I can complete this face. I will need more geometry here, so I'm going to add this, and I'm going to extrude this across. So this is going to go to here, and then oops, go down. So again, we have sort of the top of the nostril. This is going to give us a face here, so we can go F, and now what we've got is sort of rogue geometry here. It's not too rogue, but let me turn that there. Okay, now where have we got 1, 2, where is this 3, where's that one coming from? So I need to move that back there. Okay, so we can definitely join them together. We may add another one in there in a minute, but for now that's fine. I can extrude 1 and 2 and then move these back, and again 1, 2, 3, 4 is a face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so yeah, I'm going to add in a bit of geometry there, and same here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's a face. Okay, and we'll have to subdivide that. Tools, subdivide. Need more geometry. That's face, and I'll probably subdivide that again, and I'm going to move this back this way, and it's going to create sort of a crease in the face. So there's sort of a natural sort of dip here, before the cheek comes out. If I do it too much, I'll sort of exaggerate that and I'll make Stephen look like somebody else, but we can tweak that afterwards. So this is quite a big area to cover with one face, and that's not going to work for us. So I'm going to have to add a bit more geometry there because this should kind of come out a bit. So let's add a loop cut there and see what that does. So again, we're ending up with quite a bit of geometry here, so I'm going to go Control Z and undo that. I don't want that. So I'm going to have to reposition my existing geometry to try and offset this sort of, to try and give a bit more volume to the right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, so I can easily do that. And this one here, where is it gonna go? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cheat a little bit. So this is joined here. I'm going to delete that edge. So X and edge, and then go back to vertex select mode. I'm going to move this out a little bit, and this to here, and then make that my quad, and then this can join up with this one. If I extrude that, move it out a little bit on the face, 2, 3, 4, face, 1, 2, 3, 4, face. Now let's just have a pause, go into solid mode, select it all, Control N, and see where we're at. Make it smooth. So, you know, this is 26 minutes or so in, 27 minutes, and we've got, you know, the basis of the face. We've got all of the very difficult bits done, apart from the ear, which I think I won't do. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have emphasized the necessity to keep things in quads, but this is going to disappear up into the nose, so I'm not too worried. So I'm going to go E and then escape, S to scale down. I'm going to go GZ, so I'm not actually following the face here, I'm just trying to create a kind of an orifice, create a nostril. E, escape, GZ, move it up and scale it in. I want to move it back a little bit on the y-axis, and then I'm actually going to hit F, which is going to create what's called an n-gon. So that's it's got 5 vertices in it. I suppose everything's an n-gon if that's an n-gon, but anyway, so there's our nostril, and we can always, you know, scale up the inside of it and make it look, move it more that way, and we can make this hole a bit bigger and move this in closer to the center, and we can tweak this to make it look a little bit more like our guy. But we're not going to worry too much about it now, because we're kind of at an early stage of modeling. Okay, so that's our face so far. So let's go in and do a little bit more. So let's take our chin here, and we're going to bring ourselves back to about here. So we'll probably not do this bit, we'll probably kind of cut up here on the jawline and just bring ourselves up to sort of where the forehead ends, and draw down here by the, you know, by your locks. Now let's take this guy here. This is going to go out and then basically follow closely the other geometry that we've made. Again, I can select all of that, deselect them, and go W, bridge edge loop, and go F, and again that gives me geometry there. We can 1, 2, 3, 4 face, so we're starting to join all this up. And I'm going to move this here a little bit. So there's quite a big gap. I might need to add more geometry in. I can join that together, and then this is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is probably going to go this way. So we'll go, this is kind of following the jawline. It should be sort of there. So we're looking at this sort of affair here. And then this is going to be too big. We'll do it now anyway, but like I said, we'll probably have to add in more geometry. That's a very long, flat piece. There'll be a curve in that, but we'll fix that anon. Yeah, move that back a little bit. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so this needs subdivision, and again we're going to join faces here, and then move this out a little bit, and again this is trying to extrude around the jawline, so this should be over here, well, maybe not quite that far, but so sort of like that. And again we can okay, so C, which is a selection with a circle, and W, bridge edge loop, 3, 4, that's face. So that's kind of looking okay. We'll fill this bit in a minute. Like I said, we're going to be coming up here in a second. So the cheek and stuff is quite straightforward. So the difficult bit now, what we've left in this front bit, is the side of the eye and the mouth. Now, we're 30 minutes in, so I'm going to try and finish this front sort of face mask off. It'll probably take me another 15 minutes. We have choices here. We can come back and edit this, but this mouth is closed, quite definitely closed. If we want to, as we do, use a motion capture to have lots of expressions, we will want to open the mouth. So I'm going to have to make the contents of the mouth, so teeth and gums and tongue and all that, separately, and then add them inside this so that we can animate them. And that's a good bit of work. So, but for now I'm just going to make a closed mouth, but I'm going to keep in mind that I do need a line that is very clear in the middle here, that I'm going to use the V key, which is the cut or to rip key, so I can open this mouth at a later date. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then something similar here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't count. 5. Okay. So W, bridge edge loop. Oh no, I've got my numbers wrong. So that is incorrect. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, I didn't delete it. Sorry. X vertex 1, 2, 3, 4. Face 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And oops. So this one here, this is, I'm going to actually use the front as the reference rather than the side. So these are going to have a line that travels across here. So this is going to go E and E. So this is going to go, it's going to be our, you know, the line where the two lips meet. So I can go F, create a face. Now I'm going to Control R and give that a bit more volume. So move it down there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's face, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, that's F, face. And that already has a face. Okay, so you know, not too bad. Again, we probably need to define the top of the lip a little bit better. It just sort of flows over at the moment, but we'll worry about that in a second. So again, extrude. So move that to there. and that one can go there. So face, we need to extrude this back. So 1, 2. Okay, so nearly there. F, 2, 3, 4, F. Now you can see from what we did in class today, walking around somebody with a 3D scanner and scanning their head is infinitely easier than what I'm doing here, but only if we get good results from the scan. If the scan's not giving us the results we want, then all the technology in the world is really of no use to me. Now, so I have a few conundrums here of how I finish this mouth, the corner of the mouth. Again, I want to keep it as quads. This is one of the areas of the mouth that kind of deforms the most. Like when you smile, it goes up. When you're sad, it kind of turns down. And so we need to be very careful with this corner of the mouth, that we try and keep everything as a quad. So the first thing is we've got a natural sort of triangle here. It's not quite as natural on this side, but it kind of fits itself. But we also have lots of opportunities to make quads. That is not a good quad though. Well, actually, as I spin it there, it's not too bad. So let's go F, and then we're just going to move this that way. So 1 quad. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 quads. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 quads. So keeping these as quads will make the deformation at the side of this much, it'll make the animation much smoother and much nicer. So what I'm going to do now is actually going to add just going to deselect that. I'm just trying to define the lip a little bit. I'm just going to bring this in just fractionally, and that's just going to give a little kind of rise at the top of the lip, and I need to do the same at the bottom of the lip. So around here, I add in a loop cut. Okay, I'm going to turn off, oops, these guys here. I'm just going to go G and move this in just to give this little sort of lip. But I've done that too much there. Just to give a bit of definition to that part of the face. So nearly there. Back into edit mode. Let's select the top here. Now there's kind of too much geometry here, but we'll get rid of that in a minute. So we'll not get rid of it, but we'll space it out. Actually, let's start it here. So let's move this one this way and spread these apart a little bit more. So this geometry is all running down through the center. It's all spread out a little bit. Now this is making, large differences to, the topography of the face here, but hopefully we'll get away with that. Hopefully it'll look like who we want it to look like. So I'm going to go E, extrude this up. Now I'm going to rotate this that way, and I'll take these guys, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go SZ, and what did I hit there? Okay, I must hit E. So SZ straightens these. Now I actually don't want them to be straight, but the curve that was on them was completely undesirable. So this needs to be a little bit kind of curving down all the way. So it's sort of falling away from the center. Okay, and then I need to fix this on this side here. Okay, and then I'm going to probably, so we're going to extrude and then extrude. I'm going to rotate this way and rotate that a little bit that way, and then try and position these a little more favorably. Yeah. So I still need these are too close. If there's any change, like, so I'll get sort of a ripple across the forehead. You can see one or two there. You can see the kind of bumps, and that's sort of because we're inheriting this geometry is too close together. Ideally, I'd run this into the center and then have these as bigger faces. I get a smoother forehead, but I can fix that later. So I do have, though, now sort of a natural border to what I want to make. So with this one here, it should be a little bit further down. So this one here, I'm going to try and create the outside of the mask. Now I'm going to have to add in far more geometry than I have here. This is to give me an idea of what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm going to go F. Now where should that be? So that should be along the jawline. So roughly like that. And so that's where we're sort of aiming at now. So we're going to fill in the rest and see what we can do. So the rest is going to take me, another 10 minutes, I'd say. So let's get the part of this cheek done here. So let's take 3 of them, and we'll give you protruding James Dean cheeks. And bring this in. Again, this should be beautifully flowing geometry. Okay, this should be right here. So okay, and so I should be able to go 1, 2 and reach the side. So it should be here and here, and then I need to subdivide that. Go F. So I've made my first contact around, and then, as we've done before, sort of like almost like a tracing kind of motion. So I'm trying to figure out, so I've one there, so E, extrude, extrude, extrude. Again, it's gone in a straight line, so I'm kind of bringing this in to match positions. Okay. So again, I can select that like that, go C, deselect those guys, W, bridge edge loop, and then fill that in. And that one should be a bit further in, and then that one should be a bit further in. That one should be further up here. So we can start to see, the flow of the geometry and position things accordingly. Okay, so this gets a bit trickier here. So I'm going to extrude this up and move that to there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a face. That kind of looks alright. This should probably be there. And now we've got a good bit of geometry here kind of converging. So we're going to extrude this up here, which is kind of coming into this area. And you go face, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the trick here, when you have something like this, not really a trick, but it's to try and create, like to manage the quads. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's a quad, but it's not looking pretty here. So I need to rearrange my geometry so that they kind of complement each other, and then that allows me to do that. Okay, so that they're kind of coming in together and converging. And you kind of got like a, almost like a, if I had a helmet on, so it's sort of like a pad on the strap of the helmet, if that makes any sense. Okay. So yeah, we have a bit more filling in to do. Again, I'll bring this up to here, and this will probably join up with that one, and again we'll have some kind of fiddling around to do to kind of fill these in and bring the eye across as well. So a little bit more to do, but we're getting there. So I'll take those 3, extrude down, and kind of pushing in a little bit, kind of so to emphasize the positioning of the cheek. But this could go out a little bit more, and then this is, if that's the case, then this needs to come out a little bit just so it's not so dramatic a turn. So I'm going to go G now. So need a loop cut in there. And then 1, 2, oops, 2, 3, 4. There's a face. 1. Okay, I can extrude this one down. See if we can get, oops, control that. So G. See if we can get these to match. 1, 2, 3, 4. Face. 1, 2, 3, 4. Face. And I could probably move that back just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Face. And I can probably go forward a little bit. And yeah. So I can fill in the rest of this without you know, spending 10 minutes of your life watching me go extrude, extrude, face, face, face. But you get the idea. So this is our face. So just for reference, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edit mode, select it, and I'm going to go U, project from view. And over here I'm going to turn this into my UV image editor. And I'm going to load in my reference image, and you can see it's stretched terribly and scaled terribly. G, position it, scale it. Okay, so scale on Y. And because we've made this mesh from this image, when we position this, it should be a perfect fit. Now we're going to get hair coming down over this, you know, we can tweak that in Photoshop, but this should fit very well. Now I haven't done, I need to extrude more on the inside of the eye, so I'll fix this up, but you know, these should fit and fit comfortably. Okay, so let's just use that as our selection, and I can go back to my 3D view now, and we're going to go to Blender Cycles, open up my timeline here. I'm going to go to rendered mode. Actually, before I do that, let's go back to solid mode, which is a bit scary, and I can position my light in front of the model and bring it down here so it's lighting the front of it. Now, rendered mode, there we go. So I'm going to select this. Actually, I don't need to be in edit mode. I'm going to go over it now. It's got a material on it. It's the default material in Blender. So I'm going to go use node. Over here, node editor, and we can make this more complicated and make it shiny and glossy and all these things, but just as a very basic application. So there is Stephen's face, and I'm going to finish that off, and that's what we're going to do the mocap on, and it will look good. Okay, one thing I haven't done in a while is file save. If you're doing this yourself, save regularly.